How does the woman who feels like a dream at the start end up becoming the nightmare that destroys you in the end? You meet her on what seems like an ordinary afternoon. She laughs at your jokes. She touches your arm when she talks. Every glance feels like a spark, and you tell yourself this is different. But fast forward a few months, and the story has twisted into something you never imagined. Your bank account is empty. Your number is blocked. She's posting stories with the man she swore you never had to worry about. And you're left staring at the wreckage, wondering how someone who looked like heaven could drag you into hell. This is not just bad luck. This is not just one unlucky guy's story. It's a cycle that keeps repeating, trapping men who thought they were too smart, too careful, too strong to ever fall for it. Your friends warned you. Your gut warned you. Even her ex tried to warn you. But you didn't listen. Not because you're stupid, but because you chose to believe in her beauty more than you believed in your own judgment. And that single choice can cost you everything. Your money, your peace, even your faith in love itself. Here's the truth. These women are not hiding. They are broadcasting their dysfunction like neon lights in the dark. But you don't see it. You don't want to see it. And unless you learn to recognize the signs early, you won't just lose her. You'll lose yourself. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the red flags that can save you if you're willing to pay attention. Have you ever met someone who seemed perfect at first, but turned out to be chaos wrapped in beauty? Drop a yes in the comments if you know exactly what I'm talking about. And keep watching, because what you're about to hear could save you years of pain. You might think this could never happen to you. You're not naive. You're smart, successful, maybe even the guy your friends turn to for advice. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Intelligence doesn't protect you from seduction. The sharper you are in business or life, the more blind you can be when beauty enters the room. Because beauty isn't just something you see, it's a drug. And like any drug, it clouds your judgment while convincing you that you're in control. That's why men who run companies, men who manage millions, men who never take unnecessary risks, lose everything in relationships they should have walked away from on day one. They saw the warning signs, but they ignored them. Not because they didn't notice, but because they didn't want to believe. It's easier to tell yourself she's different, she's special, she just needs love. It's easier to gamble with your future than to admit you might be wrong. Here's what most men don't realize. These women are not subtle. They don't hide their dysfunction. They broadcast it. The problem isn't that the signs are invisible. The problem is that you're hypnotized by desire. You mistake red flags for quirks. You confuse chaos with passion. You see a storm, and instead of running, you convince yourself you can calm it. But let me ask you this. If the same story keeps repeating, if man after man walks into the same fire and walks out burned, is it really bad luck? Or is it a pattern? And if it's a pattern, don't you want to know the rules before you become the next victim? Because the truth is simple. There are signs. Clear, obvious, flashing signs. And once you see them, you can never unsee them. In the next part, I'm going to show you the 10 most dangerous red flags. Not the 50th red flag you notice too late, but the very first ones you need to catch before your life becomes another cautionary tale. So let's get into it. You don't need 50 signs to know when you're in danger. You just need the first one, the one that reveals everything else hiding underneath. And once you see it, you'll never look at her stories the same way again. The first red flag often hides in plain sight. It shows up in the way she talks about her past. Every ex-boyfriend was a narcissist. Every boss was sexist. Every friend who left was jealous. In her story, she has never once been wrong, never once been responsible, never once been the villain. At first, you might feel sympathy. You might even feel protective. But here's what you need to recognize. If everyone in her past is toxic, the common denominator is her. Why is this dangerous for you? Because the moment you step into her life, you become the next enemy in her story. If she's never taken accountability before, she won't suddenly start with you. And when things go wrong, and they will, you'll be painted as the problem no matter what you did. That's not bad luck. That's a pattern. So, what should you do if you see this? Listen carefully to how she tells her stories. Does she ever admit fault? Does she ever say, "Yeah, I could have handled that better"? If the answer is always no, that's your red flag. You don't need to argue with her. You don't need to prove she's wrong. You just need to step back and ask yourself, if she's never once been responsible, how will she ever build something real with me? The action here is simple. Don't ignore your gut. If her entire past is filled with villains, you're about to become the next one. And the sooner you see that, the sooner you can protect yourself. The second red flag shows up when peace feels impossible. In the beginning, it looks like passion. The fiery arguments, the intense makeups, the roller coaster of highs and lows. It feels alive. It feels electric. But here's what you need to know. That's not love. That's chaos addiction. Some women are wired to mistake drama for connection. To them, silence feels empty. Calm feels boring. Peace feels like death. If there hasn't been a fight in a week, they'll create one. If nothing's wrong, they'll dig until something feels wrong. They need conflict to feel alive. And if you're not careful, you'll confuse the chaos with chemistry. Why is this dangerous for you? Because what starts as excitement quickly becomes exhaustion. You'll spend your days walking on eggshells, your nights recovering from pointless battles, your mind trapped in the cycle of fight, make up, fight again. This isn't passion, it's trauma bonding. You're not falling in love. You're getting hooked on the adrenaline of dysfunction. So what should you do if you see this? Step back and study the pattern. Look at her past relationships. Were they all short, dramatic, ending in explosions? Ask yourself, does she ever seem content when things are calm, or does she always stir the pot? That's your test. Because if she can't tolerate peace, she'll never give you peace. Here's the action. Protect your energy. Don't try to be the man who fixes her storm. Don't tell yourself you can handle it because you're stronger. If she thrives on chaos, she will drag you into it. And the longer you stay, the more you'll forget what real love actually feels like. Calm, steady, and safe. The third red flag doesn't hide. It glows in her hand every second of the day. The phone isn't just a tool, it's her lifeline. Every dinner, every date, every private moment becomes content. And here's the truth you can't ignore. When she's more connected to strangers online than to you in person, you're not her partner. You're her prop. Why is this dangerous for you? Because you're not competing with another man. You're competing with an algorithm. Every like, every comment, every follower gives her a hit of dopamine that you can't match. Your thoughtful compliment fades compared to 500 hearts from strangers. Your presence feels boring next to the endless scroll of attention. And over time, you'll realize she values her audience more than the man sitting right in front of her. Here's how you spot it. Watch what happens when she can't post. Does her mood crash if the likes don't come fast enough? Does she panic if the Wi-Fi drops? Notice how often she creates a false version of your relationship online. Smiling couple photos after a screaming fight. Posts about growth while refusing to change. That's your warning. So what should you do? Test it. Put the phone away for an evening and see what happens. If she can't focus on you without checking her screen every few minutes, understand this. You're dating her avatar, not her. The action is simple. Don't fight for attention against a digital addiction. You will lose. If her happiness depends on validation from strangers, you'll never be enough, because no man ever could. Protect yourself. Choose a woman who values presence over performance, connection over content. The fourth red flag is harder to see because it hides behind emotions. At first, you think she's just sensitive. You think the tears are real, the anger is genuine, the pain is honest. But here's what you need to understand. Sometimes it's not emotion, it's strategy. Why is this dangerous for you? Because when feelings become weapons, you're no longer in a relationship. You're in a battlefield where the rules are stacked against you. She cries when you confront her, so you end up comforting her for the problem she caused. She explodes with anger when you set a boundary, so you back down just to keep the peace. She flips the script so well that your pain becomes her stage. And over time, you start to question your own memory, your own reality, even your own sanity. Gaslighting is the sharpest tool here. She rewrites history in real time. That cruel thing she said? She swears it never happened. The promise she broke? Somehow you misunderstood. Stay long enough, and her version of events will replace your own truth. So how do you protect yourself? Simple. Set a clear boundary and watch the reaction. A healthy woman may not like it, but she'll respect it. A manipulative one will guilt trip, gaslight, or melt down. That's your signal. Here's the action. Trust your memory, not her script. If every conversation leaves you confused and doubting yourself, stop asking, "Am I crazy?" and start asking, "Why am I with someone who makes me feel this way?" Because the moment you stop believing your own reality, you've already lost the fight. The fifth red flag hides behind what looks like devotion. She always wants to be with you. She never spends a night alone. She jumps from one relationship to the next without pause. At first, it feels flattering, like you're the one she can't live without. But here's the reality. It's not love. It's dependency. Why is this dangerous for you? Because if she can't be alone, she's not with you because of who you are. She's with you because she needs someone, anyone, to distract her from herself. That means you're not being chosen. You're being used as a life raft. And the moment she spots a better boat, she'll grab on without hesitation. How do you spot it? Pay attention to her history. Ask, when was the last time she was single for more than a month? If the answer is never, that's a sign. Look for overlap. The male friend she keeps texting late at night? That's not harmless. It's her backup plan. The ex who suddenly reappears? That's her safety net. If there's always someone waiting in the wings, she's not building with you. She's just avoiding solitude. So what should you do? Don't confuse desperation for loyalty. If her affection feels less like choice and more like fear, you need to step back. Try giving her space. If she panics at the idea of a single weekend alone, that tells you everything. Here's the action. Remember, a woman who can't be alone can't fully be with you either. Real love comes from freedom, not fear. If she only loves you because she's terrified of silence, then what you have isn't love at all. It's survival dressed up as romance. The sixth red flag shows up in your wallet before it shows up in your heart. She's always broke, but somehow, never without new clothes, fresh nails, or weekend trips. Bills go unpaid, but she's posting designer bags. At first, you think you're just helping. But this isn't partnership. It's not teamwork. It's parasitism. Why is this dangerous for you? Because the moment money becomes the foundation of your relationship, love takes a back seat. You're no longer the man she values. You're the ATM she drains. What's yours is always ours, but what's hers is always hers. And over time, you'll find yourself exhausted, working harder while she spends faster, trapped in a dynamic where your generosity is never enough. Here's how you spot it. Listen to how she talks about work. Is she always about to start something big? Always one opportunity away from success, but never actually moving forward? Does money vanish with no explanation? Does she always have excuses for why she can't contribute? Those are flashing signals. So what should you do? Set clear financial boundaries. Try saying no to a purchase or suggesting equal contribution. Watch the reaction. If she shames you for protecting your own resources or accuses you of being stingy just for expecting balance, understand, she doesn't want partnership. She wants provision without responsibility. Here's the action. Don't let your hard work become someone else's entitlement. A woman who respects you will respect your money. A woman who only values you when you're spending isn't building a future with you. She's funding her present at your expense. Protect your finances, and you protect your peace. The seventh red flag doesn't come from her. It comes from the people she surrounds herself with. At first, you think her friends are harmless. Girls' nights, wine talks, group chats. But watch closely. If her circle is filled with bitter, broken, or chaotic people, understand this. Those voices will eventually run your relationship. Not sisterhood, but sabotage. Why is this dangerous for you? Because you're not just dating her, you're dating her entire friend group. And if they thrive on drama, they'll feed her drama. If they hate stability, they'll make her resent your stability. A toxic circle will convince her that your loyalty is control, that your commitment is settling, that she deserves something better. Here's how to spot it. Pay attention after she spends a night out with them. Does she come home colder, distant, picking fights? Do her opinions about you shift, depending on what her friends said? That's your signal. Action step. Don't ignore the influence. Ask yourself, does she value your partnership or her friends' approval more? If their negativity becomes the compass for her choices, step back. A good partner will protect your bond. A toxic one will let her circle sabotage it. The eighth red flag hits when her emotions have no middle ground. Happiness feels manic. Sadness spirals into despair. Anger explodes into destruction. She doesn't process feelings. She becomes them. Not depth, but disorder. Why is this dangerous for you? Because over time, you stop being her partner and start being her emotional handler. You'll spend your days walking on eggshells, managing every mood, sacrificing your own peace just to keep her stable. That's not love, it's survival. How to spot it. Watch how she reacts to small problems. Does traffic ruin her whole day? Does a minor disagreement turn into a full-blown war? If little issues trigger extreme responses, bigger challenges will become nightmares. Action step. Don't confuse intensity with love. Test it. Give her space during emotional storms. If she can't self-regulate without dragging you into the chaos, she's not ready for partnership. Protect your peace, because a man who loses his emotional stability loses himself. The ninth red flag shows up over time. She repeats the same mistakes again and again, never learning, never evolving. At first, you think she's just unlucky, but it's not bad luck. It's a choice she keeps making. Not misfortune, but refusal. Why is this dangerous for you? Because relationships require growth. If she can't admit fault, can't take responsibility, can't change, then the relationship will never move forward. You'll stay stuck in the same fights, the same cycles, the same disappointments, until you're drained. How to spot it. Ask her about past breakups. Does she blame every ex without once saying, "I learned from it"? Does she repeat the same drama in every area of her life, jobs, friendships, love, while claiming it's always someone else's fault? That's your answer. Action step. Don't wait for time to fix her. Time doesn't change patterns. It makes them stronger. If she refuses to grow, the only thing that will change is you. You'll shrink, compromise, and lose yourself in her loop. Protect your future by walking away from people who refuse to grow. The 10th red flag is the most dangerous because it erases reality itself. She doesn't just remember things differently. She rewrites them. That cruel thing she said. In her story, it never happened. That promise she broke. Somehow, you misunderstood. Not memory, but rewriting. Why is this dangerous for you? Because once your reality is replaced with hers, you lose trust in yourself. You begin to doubt your memory, your judgment, your sanity. And when she finally leaves, she'll rewrite the entire relationship, painting herself as the victim and you as the villain. How to spot it? Keep track. Does every disagreement end with you questioning what really happened? Does she constantly change the story to fit her narrative? If yes, understand, you're not in a partnership. You're trapped in her script. Action step. Trust your receipts. Write things down. Keep your truth clear. And most importantly, don't let someone convince you that boundaries are abuse or that accountability is unfair. Reality doesn't need to be rewritten. If she keeps editing the past, she'll destroy your future. So here's the truth we can't escape. The woman who feels like a dream at first can just as easily become the nightmare that drains your soul, your money, and your faith in love. She was never a dream. She was always a warning dressed as fantasy, and you refused to see it. The coffee shop smile, the way she made you feel chosen, it all felt magical. But magic fades, and what's left is the wreckage you didn't believe could happen to you. The red flags were there. They always are. But if you ignore them, you won't just lose her. You'll lose yourself. Don't let one broken woman convince you that all women are broken. Don't wait until your life is in ruins to realize the truth. You can spot the signs early. You can walk away before the damage is done. And you can choose character over beauty, peace over chaos, growth over excuses. So let me ask you, do you see the signs now? Which red flag hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments because your answer might help another man open his eyes before it's too late. And if this message shook something in you, share it, because you might save someone else from becoming the next casualty. The warnings are clear. The question is, will you listen?